Hey, Ghost Machine fans, this one's for you. Welcome to the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, episode 76. Sophie continues to be availed by the vengeful spirit of her best friend Violet in Sisterhood number 3. And we learn about the disturbing origin of Dr. Ego in Hyde Street number 9. I am Nick, and this time around, I'm not joined by my usual partner in crime, Snoggle, but it is my pleasure to introduce a returning special guest co-host. With me tonight, I have Jason, AKA Milhousez. Jason, how are you? How have you been?
I'm doing well. Yeah, now that I've been on the show a bunch of times, so I'm getting to, be a regular here.
I know. I think it's 5 or 6. 5 or 6, maybe.
Yeah.
You have been on the show for Character Spotlight. We did on the Northerner before he made his first appearance. And you also made your first appearance on the show to talk about cons. And I was just wondering, because you're a New Yorker, right?
New Yorker. I grew up in New York and in New York City, and I live upstate now. But I've been to the last 5 or 6 New York Comic Cons, and hopefully I just continue to go every year. So we have one coming up in a few weeks.
We do. Are you going to go to that?
Yeah, I will be there.
When you're there, you may get the opportunity to meet the person that I would like to briefly shout out. As you remember, we always like to shout out someone on the show who has usually collaborated with us. And we talk about Sean Von Gorman all the time, the artist that did the Cool Ghouls Grains covers. He's also done some Rockefellers covers and a cool Geiger cover. You know Sean, right?
Yeah, and we're going to mention his latest cover in a few minutes.
Oh, we are indeed. And he's the artist half of the team that made the Pedestrian comic, which was an Eisner nominated comic. And I just wanted to say thank you to Joey Esposito, the writer on that, because Joey also regularly collaborates. Sean will put together posts when he's at cons or when he's talking about some of his work. And often Joey will be on those collaborations too, which really, helps get the good word out there even more. Every time there's Ghost Machine as part of that, that's just one more thing that we want to beat the drum about. And so thanks a lot, Joey, for helping out big time with that. But I think those two dudes are both going to be at New York Comic Con, Jason.
Yeah, I've not met Joey. I've met Sean, and I have to make my way over there. So he did a cover for, this is not Ghost Machine related, but I'm also a Star Trek fan. And Strange New Worlds has had a couple of, which is the hit TV show that's been out right now. It's had a couple of series, comic books, and so there's a new series. I forgot what it's called, but issue number 1 came out a few weeks ago, and Sean did a cover but it's a retailer cover, and it's just a simple idea, and it's kind of funny because I guess that's the way Sean is, and it's just Spock standing there holding and kind of pondering. He's holding a spork, just kind of pondering it, and so Spock holding a spork. I thought that was kind of funny, and so I bought a bunch of copies, and I have to go get some signed.
Yeah, get yourself a Von Gorman remark on one of those.
Or that.
Right on. Cool. And
yeah, so Peter Tomasi will be there. He's doing actually, it looks like he'll be at a few cons in the near future. He's at the LA Con this weekend, and LA Comic Con this weekend, and then New York Comic Con, and maybe he's at Baltimore or another one.
Hey, Peter Tomasi, huge deal, big deal.
Yeah.
He's, can get all your Family Odyssey books signed, pull out your own copies of Light Brigade, get them down there to those conventions, get those signed. If you're a Hornsby and Halo diehard, then you know about Light Brigade. So,
right. I know about it. I haven't read Light Brigade. Of course, I've read Hornsby and Halo, and I have some of those issues in my pile to bring to the con. So we'll get some signed.
Right on. But my lady is not here. Oh, and we'll take a brief moment to say thank you, Ghost Machine fans, for your kindness and patience in us having to postpone this episode for the first time. We're a week late. We canceled the last one because as we were attempting to record, both Snoggle and I were barely able to breathe. She is still sick. That's why she's not on with me and Jason today. And that means that I got to skedaddle because Jason Hershowitz is in the newsroom.
Well, today is Wednesday, September 24th. And what today is the release date for Hyde Street number 9 that we're going to dive into today. Also coming up on September 29th is the final order cutoff, or FOC date, for Hornsby and Halo number 11, as well as the Redcoat second volume trade paperback. And your last chance to really do that before FOC or final cutoff is on Monday. And then the last thing that's available on final cutoff is the next issue of Sisterhood, which is a Hyde Street story. So it's number 4 of 5. So that you need to get before FOC on Monday as well. And they did just release the December solicits. Those are out there, so take a look and pre-order all your Ghost Machine titles.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. There's a lot of good stuff on FOC coming up, and we'll dive a little bit more into those solicits next week in the news so that they can marinate for you a little bit.
Yeah, we're getting close to the release of Exodus 7.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? It's going to be a week from today, and 2 weeks from today, we are going to deep dive into it with Mr. Jason Fabach himself. So we're excited about that. Can't wait to read that issue. Looks really cool in the winter biome featuring Stag, that warden, Stag warden guy. It's very cool. Yep.
Oh, you know what? You know what's really cool? If you go to the what's it called, the Ghost Machine clothing store.
Oh, the Threadless and the merch.
They just have so much. Like, shout out to Danny, right? So she just keeps loading that. Like, you can get anything you want, right? Pretty much anything. Any warden probably has a shirt. Ones that we haven't met yet have a shirt.
Yeah. There's the mountain goat one, I think, is going to be on there. The stag is on there. There's new other ones too. Like, they took some of the other designs and they made them without the logo. Like, I got one that's black direwolf on a gray shirt, but it doesn't say Ricexes. It's just her and that wolf.
Yeah. So between the number of different things you can have, like different options of shirts, and just make sure you sign up for their newsletter and make sure you're always looking for. They have sales like almost all the time, so you have to just wait or watch, right? Because it's pretty unique, the amount of images that she's put there and the amount of different options that there are, and there's also hats and stuff too. I thought that was really cool. I was just checking it out today.
If you go to DC Comics or whatever, or go to clothing stores with DC merch, it's hard to find as much diversity as what is in the Ghost Machine Threadless store. Right. And it's really cool because there's stuff in there that's like, it just looks cool, and you might just buy it just because it looks cool. But there's a lot of stuff in there that you probably won't find or understand unless you're a Ghost Machine fan.
Exactly.
It's just like, that's something being done for the fans.
I don't think it's like a huge moneymaker for the company.
Oh, yeah, I doubt it. But it's super cool. And just like you said, way to go, Danny Ward. Oh, yeah. All right. But today we're talking about the Horrorverse. And we've got to start with a book that came out a couple of weeks ago. And that's Sisterhood. number 3. And as always, we got to do a quick cover rundown. In this case, there's only 2 for this book, yeah?
There you go.
And the first one is by the usual team. There's also the pair on the book. That's Layla Lees and Alex Sinclair. Layla does the pencils and the inks. And world-class colorist and friend of the show, Alex Sinclair, does the super creepy colors. This cover, though, it doesn't follow the story from anything prior except for the fact that it's got the pink ribbon. Like, there's a person with a bag on their head in a handcuffed in a forest.
This happened. This is a uniquely something that we don't always see in comics these days. It's uniquely something that is things that are happening in this issue.
I like that.
Yeah, that used to be the way it was.
What do you mean? I know what you mean, but what do you mean?
When I started reading comics, in the late '80s, you pretty much just had one cover, and it had to do with something. Usually, it had something to do with what was going on in that book. They were usually trying to sell you the. Now, it wasn't always accurate. Like, it could be misleading. It could be misleading, but it usually had something to do with what was inside. But nowadays, with a bunch of covers, you might get one that is representative of that issue, but you also get ones that have nothing to do with what's inside.
Right.
So it's a breath of fresh air to get one that's actually selling you on the inside of the book.
And it makes you wonder, like, okay, why do the sorority sisters have the creepy cult masks? Is there a new angle or whatever?
Yeah, I thought that was just to make it more creepy. We'll discuss it. We'll discuss it again when we see it. But
I think you're right.
Otherwise, that's not. I don't know. I'm not. I was in a fraternity, not a sorority, but I don't think we didn't really do that. So
yeah. No, I hear you. And I have an observation once we get to the page with their costumes or whatever. And then B cover is by an artist who's done a ton of covers for Ghost Machine, Germán Peralta, right? He's been on many different, I think every single Ghost Machine book he's done a cover for at this point. Except maybe Rook, maybe not Rook. Yeah.
Every title, not every issue.
Yes, every title.
Yeah.
Except for Rook. And Sophie walking down the street. But this seems more like it was when she was. This seems like a couple issues ago. This seems like the end of issue 1, doesn't it?
Yes. What I think typically happens is that, like, the A cover is done by the artist that does the internal part of the book, so they know what's happening in the story.
I like it purely for the way that he did the color around, like, the reflections where you get Violet popping off the water and in the window. I just think it looks really cool. And we need to take a moment because this is your spoiler pause for Sisterhood, a Hyde Street story, number 3. All right, now I can do it. Can you give us a creator roll call on this book, Mr. Herschelwood?
Sisterhood is written by Metal Shoot. The gorgeous illustrations are done by Layla Lees. And then you already mentioned Alex Sinclair, who did the color, and lettering by Rob Lee, who does the lettering for all the books.
That's right. So catch us up on this thing, because we got to remember she's in the middle. We got
she's not exactly arrested, but she's sitting in a cop car here in the beginning. So that's where we're coming from. After one of the sorority girls, she's at a sorority pledging event or something, and one of the girls that she's talking to falls off the balcony, and then we see a flashback to that. There's a picture of it again here where she gets impaled by the fence. I think we assume that she was pushed. I don't think we actually know it at the very beginning here. We assume that she's pushed, and then the question with that is whether it's Sophie or Violet can do that,
Yes, and that's what I want to talk about. So I need your help because we've got Sophie sitting in the cop car with Violet in the view in the window because Violet can appear in reflections.
Yeah.
And the cop is like, tell me in your own words what happened. And here's my question to you. Like, Violet says to Sophie, she fell, say it, Soph, tell him the truth. And it's like she has to influence her to do that because then Sophie takes a moment, looks down, and then says that. And like, let
No,
alone
but
all the
I
facial
think she's saying
expressions
it.
are awesome.
Yeah. The art in general, yeah, it's just great. So much detail. Violet in the mirror is say that she fell, and then says tell him the truth, and I think she's trying to make that the truth. I don't think that's the real truth,
Okay.
right? I don't think, and I think we learned that she didn't really just fall,
Right.
but
But
it's still a little confusing whether in what way it happened.
that's what I'm saying. So I think by the end there's enough to make a conclusion about this, but I want to like take you on the ride as we go. But I'm not
Right, because
like
so at this point we don't know whether she just fell back, which I don't think is the case, or whether she was supernaturally pushed,
exactly.
or whether she was pushed by physically by either Sophie or Violet taking over the body. But she says to the officer she fell.
And that's it. And
And that's all
that
we see. Yeah,
but and the big part of the reason that we don't know is that thus far we haven't had any like we don't see it. Like when something happens where either it's actual supernatural thing pops out and smacks like somebody, or she's possessing Sophie, or Sophie was given schizophrenia by Sisterhood, and this is all just a way that she's getting damaged by Hyde Street, which would be really horrible, or
and
some combination of it.
I don't think our main character knows.
I don't think she knows. Oh, that's a good point. You're
Like
talking about how
I don't actually think she knows. I think it's just like one moment she's talking to her, and the next moment she's down there on the fence.
I feel really bad for Sophie either way at this
It could
point.
have also been a supernatural push where she's just like pushed by a force, not an actual push from the body.
Yeah, I so that's what we're saying. Either she possesses her, makes her physically get up and do it, or like maybe it's energy that comes out of her because she's so
Yeah.
enraged that the ghost actually takes the opportunity to manifest. So we don't really know yet, And it seems
No, we
like
don't
you
know.
said, Sophie doesn't really understand what happened either.
Yeah.
They leave it at
She's in
that.
shock. She's in shock. So
Yeah.
she may have seen what happened and doesn't quite understand it, or just doesn't, or wasn't, or was blacked out or something.
There's a brief interlude where like the sorority sisters are saying they might have to delay their plans, which is a good lead in for them, a little bit more of an extended conversation between evil Violet in the window and Sophie. And I feel like this back and forth of evil Violet trying to encourage Sophie to do more and more and more and pressure her is meant to show like that Sophie's starting to feel like she might have pulled away from this. But then it makes you like wonder what would have happened if Sophie was really like, no, I'm not doing it. Would Violet dissipate or would she haunt her?
I think she will continue haunting her. I think
I think you're right.
that's what this is all about, and that's what Mrs. Sisterhood, did to her.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So right before that, President sorority, even though she's quite upset, she seems to be vocally more upset about this idea of pledging not happening this semester.
That's true.
But somebody just, I mean, like that's just a lot.
It does emphasize her reprehensible nature.
Yeah,
And you know what reprehensible people also do? They kidnap people by putting bags over their heads and putting them into cages.
yeah. Although that doesn't seem to be something new. I don't know if that has anything to do with like her.
No, I was just being
Like it's
funny.
something they've probably done for years. This is
Yeah.
part of their program. So
Well,
there's
yeah, if they've got these outfits, for
yeah,
sure,
they've
they've
got
been doing
these
it for
outfits.
years.
The name of the sorority, as we pointed out, is Sin.
Yes, it is. It is. I
So
remember that was you that pointed that out.
yeah, and you know it's apparent again where the outfits have Sin on the belt.
Yeah, with their evil pink ribboned cloaks. And
Yeah, so they give us a little bit of added creepiness
yes,
to the story. Not just the best friend as a ghost in her head. We also have this creepy sisterhood.
yeah, this is very cinematic. Like I could see
Yeah.
this type of thing being on the screen pretty successfully.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so it's like a ritual. It's a hazing ritual where they're going to put them in cages and basically just berate them until they comply. And she doesn't, so she gets kicked down the icy mountain in a
Yeah.
cage.
She didn't have to do this. You know, she really, which is I think it totally surprises the sisters. I think because this is just probably doesn't happen. They usually just say yes. They usually
Exactly.
lie. Yeah, and even Violet in her head or in the mirror reflection the cage says just say yes to everything they say. Just agree. This is not this is nothing. But
Yeah, just play along with it, right?
yeah,
She's not doing that. And they literally kick her down the mountain. And even then, Violet's trying to get her to chill out
yeah,
until like the whole tone shifts when one of them catches up to her and takes her mask off for a second, though. Like it's
right. I don't think she was. Yeah,
the
and then she gets
one.
all bloody. She gets all bloody from that, which wasn't supposed to happen.
I mean, you could have gotten really messed up. The darn cage kind of gets launched there. It's a metal cage. Like this is
Yeah,
serious stuff, man.
yeah. The sisters weren't expecting that. They were expecting first one
Compliance.
compliance, and if there was no compliance, they were expecting it to just go. The case should just slide down and stop.
Yeah,
They weren't
yeah.
expecting her to get hurt in there, and for the cage to break open. Then she starts running. She's bleeding from all over the face and running away from them. Because I think she's quite crazy. She's got, I don't know about crazy, but this whole thing has made her crazier.
Oh yeah, she's freaked. I mean,
She's freaking out.
yeah, she's super freaking out, and I love that one spot where Layla superimposed her running forward next to her falling, and like it's her face is like it's a good spot to put the superimposed character over the panels that other stuff's happening in as she trips. It's cool momentum.
Yeah, so you mentioned the one girl who takes the mask off and was like, what'd you do? You're bleeding, and you weren't. This is just part of the process. Okay, everybody went through this that has pledged.
Right. To your point, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, we were just trying to get you to do this thing. Like, you're just supposed to say yes. Now look what happened to you, knucklehead. Like, that's
Yeah,
essentially like the tone of it. Then it's a second sister that comes up and gives the same spiel.
I think that's the president.
That's Karma. And it's she ties a ribbon around her after she says, like, she basically
Yeah,
gives her the same spiel, like, do you pledge to do all this stuff? Then she says yes. And then she's like, okay, well, here's your ribbon, which
yeah,
happens to be the same ribbon that killed Violet. Not the
yeah.
exact same ribbon,
No,
but
that's
the
a common thread here is the ribbon. It was on the cover, and her ribbon just happened to get stuck in the pool's
drain or
drain
whatever.
drainage. Yeah, so that's how she ended up dying.
And so they all get together, they're all taking selfies and around, fancy vehicles doing their thing, except for Sophie, who's on the phone talking to her dead friend and the reflection on her phone
Yeah, it's like
about
Yeah, she's like talking. It's like FaceTime, but
Right.
she's actually the phone is actually off.
It's just super funny when I realized
Yeah,
that. Ironic in a way, right? Like, are we all really talking to ghosts?
yeah.
And
Then they're
that's an
driving,
appropriate Hyde Street
and
question.
then they're driving back, and they're talking about Violet, and
And that's what gets something going, right? That's what triggers something.
but they liked Violet.
Yeah,
Uh,
it seems like it.
yeah,
Yeah.
which gets us to the point where is the Violet that we and we've asked this before, is the Violet that we see the real Violet? I don't know why is she so out for vengeance here.
Oh, you wonder if
Is that Violet? Or is it
the thing that Sisterhood
or is
summoned.
it yeah, or is it something else? You know?
Yeah. Or Violet or Violet when she's damned via being a murdered spirit
Yeah,
or who, or
yeah.
somewhere in between. This is where you're going with this is there's some back and forth. They're nice to her, but they clearly did actually like Violet. And then the one that's been patching her up says, and with you here, it's like we have a piece of Violet. And then there's the creepy ghost flash, the blue creepy ghost flash.
Yeah, I don't really know what that
That's
oh
the that's
that's
the
what
we
we
don't know yet
that's
either.
yeah, that's the but we see
Uh,
it here, a number of creepy ghost flashes, and each time somebody else gets bloodied.
And we get some clues though, because what we're wondering about the beginning Ghost Machine fans is, did Sophie push the girl off the ledge? Did Violet take control of Sophie and then push the girl off the ledge? Or did Violet's spirit somehow come out of Sophie and do something supernatural? In
Since Sophie
this,
has blood on her hands, it seems to
exactly.
me that Sophie is taking over her body.
I agree. And because the first girl that gets hit says, why did you do that? It's not like she's saying, oh my gosh, a ghost, or oh my gosh, ethereal
Yeah.
evil energy. She's saying, why did you just hit me? And it looks and then another girl's like, please don't hurt me. Like nobody seems to be like freaking out as if anything supernatural is happening here at all.
Yeah, she just wants everybody dead. So I don't know if it's the real Violet or the in between, the whatever the evil part of Violet, or just some other evil spirit.
I don't know. I think we will find
I
out.
think
And I think,
we'll find out something. She's gonna have to return to Sisterhood
right. Yes.
at some point here.
And soon we're going to learn more about Sisterhood. And the second issue we're deep diving into today, the end hints at more about her coming too. So I think that will complement it well. But, well, the only thing that I think is important is her hands are bloody as she's jumping out. So it's like
Yeah,
she beat them up or whatever. And Violet is telling her to jump. And then
with the explosion there, you gotta assume that nobody made it besides her.
And that means that in that moment, they have the opportunity they quote unquote,
Well, they want to.
because now
She wants
Sophie
them to
is
get their story straight. She's like, "Our story." She says, "You did this." So Sophie is telling Violet, "You did this." So that again, that goes along with her taking over. The actual Violet is taking over her body and physically did this damage.
and that's why the more and more it goes on, because even Violet's like they deserved it. She didn't exactly save me. She's part of their cult now. Like, she's obviously like justifying her evil actions. So it just
Yeah.
makes me wonder if this is like you're saying, if this is really Violet, or if this is what Sophie got from Hyde Street for wanting her, or for, like whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, she, however that.
And I hope they explain to us how this works as far as High Street and the system that High Street has of collecting, souls for
The storekeeper.
the scorekeeper, right? Like, so are these each girl that dies here? Are they collected? Are these do these souls get collected for Hyde Street?
You mean
I
like,
mean,
do
I
they
don't think
count
this.
for Sisterhood?
Yeah, do they count for Sisterhood? Because I
I
don't
don't
think
think so. I don't think so.
And how does
It,
Sisterhood get souls? Is it going to
I
be?
wondered that too. If maybe it's like the worst of a time she makes Sophie have. Maybe Sophie's
Well,
soul
maybe
wants to
Sophie
end up
ends up
being
being the
worse
soul.
for her.
Maybe Sophie, when she returns, ends up being the soul that she collects.
Maybe.
Ah,
I don't know. I
because
think we're gonna
none of
find
this
out.
is happening on Hyde Street that we can tell.
Not we know of. No,
Mm.
not that we know of.
But it's the same thing with the Devourer, right? It didn't all happen on Hyde Street.
Right. Yeah, it didn't. It didn't. And it continued to happen by a generation of people that would return to Hyde Street, then leave it and come back.
Right. And I don't know how she was collecting souls by making people, giving people these parasites
I think maybe eventually
when they eventually die.
when they eventually die. Yeah, maybe. I do think that this whole thing, this exchange between the two of them, with Sophie in the end saying, "How did you expect me to react to you hurting people with my body?" And then
Yeah.
even on the big cool page where the cops were coming, she's like, "Can't you see that I'm the one who's been hurt? Let me take over. I can get us out of this." And it's like, well, the cars blew up, like but I was blown away by what happened in the end. That was not what I expected to happen. Like, what was your impression of what happens here? These cops approach her, and then I guess she's got a gun from somewhere, or she takes one of their guns.
Well, all right. We see a flash.
Yeah, but that's still, yeah, it's a flash when she's got to be grabbing somebody's gun. Like,
No, the
that's when,
flash before you see the cops arrive, and there's a flash on that page.
and then there's a panel with a
I don't need
gun.
permission. I'm taking over your body. So she must have grabbed the gun then.
Right.
Then she comes back alert, right? And you see her with all the police pointing their guns at her with the one guy without a gun. You see the one guy without a gun?
Yeah, yeah. Because they're
That's the
saying
guy.
she
That's the guy.
stole somebody's firearm. Yeah.
She must have looked like just a girl that was, that just was in some kind of accident. So it was pretty easy for her to just be like, grab a gun, grab the gun from the guy. He wasn't expecting it because of her appearance, right?
Right. And then,
There's another flash, so she doesn't know what happened between that and where she's locked up. But she apparently assaulted a police officer and stole another one's gun.
yeah, kind of a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he says on the last page, and you're being charged with murders.
It could be we don't know.
Oh, the girl's in the car.
Because she has blood on her hands and she'll have evidence of their blood, not her own blood, on her.
Oh, that's true. There's going to be a lot of different blood.
There'll be like DNA from them defending themselves. They'll have her DNA on them, so they'll know she was in the car. At this point, they're charging her with murder, and we don't know why yet. Is it the girl? Is it because she killed the girls in the car, or did she actually shoot a cop? But she didn't. They didn't say she killed a cop. You assaulted an officer, Sophie, stole another one's firearm, and then not to mention you're being charged with murder.
The preview page for issue 4 on the opposite side of that, where she's in like behind bars and half of it's Violet, half of it's Sophie.
Is that the cover? Do we know?
I think it's one of them, but isn't it interesting how cool. I don't know, she's wearing the same, like the shirt is the same. It makes me wonder if like maybe she'll really become her. Well, that wraps up Sisterhood number 3. Like we mentioned, number 4 is coming up on FOC in just a couple of days. So there's still time to make sure you get a copy of that bad boy. Now, it's a double feature, Horrorverse double features. So we've got to talk about Hyde Street number 9, and we're going to do another quick cover rundown because these are some sweet covers and we can't miss them. You got the one by Yvonne Rice, Danny Mickey, and Brad Anderson. And it's got Dr. Ego working on some unfortunate soul that
Whoever she is happy.
She looks very happy.
She has a pretty smile.
Yes, and that's what he says. He says, "You
Yes.
said you wanted me to give you a prettier smile." Yes, very, very cool. I love all the detail that Yvonne put in, on the
Yeah.
tables and the gore and the
And I think
machines.
so. We met Doctor Ego in the last one,
Hmm.
and
We did.
the nurses, right? And now we're gonna get the story of the nurses, which is kind of cool.
Yes. And I was
'Cause
happy to see
I
them.
remember liking his nurses in the last issue.
Yes. Dark humor. Definitely comic relief in a weird, dark way. Well, real quick, the B cover is Francis Portella, and so he's actually on most of this book. And then, did you see that Sean Von Gorman did that cutout of Mr.
Oh yeah,
X-rays? Those are pretty cool.
yeah. I had seen that a little while ago, and I asked if I can get it in a metal, so
Right, so you can
I
cut it
could like
out.
cut it out. Yeah, cut it out of metal.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat because it looks like one of those you cut it out of a magazine and
So
and tape it together.
he did do a video where he cut it out. I'm
Oh, I remember that because it
pretty
wasn't
sure
that
he did.
also when he was making the cover too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So that's the C cover, and that's another standard. But he's got the D cover is him too. That's the 1 for 20
Yeah.
variant
So
of the
that one
creature,
is,
Chris.
yep. So make sure if you haven't secured one already, make sure you're the first one in your LCS this week. So this is what, the third or fourth one? Third one. Third one.
This is the third one.
Third
There's
of
one
maybe
more
four.
left.
Yeah.
There's
I
one
think there's
more
only
left.
four at this point, unless they do more later.
There are four, and the fourth one is the Bugsy Berry, which is going to be another 1 for 20 ratio variant for Hyde Street number 10. And side note, we did a little video about this recently, but the designs for this on Threadless, those fantastic designs that you brought up, they're
Yeah.
only going to be on the Threadless show for these particular items until the books are off the shelf. So, like,
Oh, interesting. So
you
for
won't be able to get them.
a limited time only.
Yeah, limited T-shirt, limited edition T-shirts.
Yeah.
Check that
Yeah,
out.
yeah. For me, like, if I'm gonna open up that can, I'm gonna have or box. I'm gonna have to go and get all. Like, I can just buy one of them, right?
Right,
I
you
have to
gotta
go
get them
buy all
all.
four of them.
But to your point, also hard to find.
Yeah. And the cool thing about that, just the idea in general, is they can bring it back. They can do more covers, more different, more of the serial line. So it's really very similar, or probably based off of the Frankenberry and the Count Chocula.
Yeah, back in the
Really,
day.
no, they still have those. And
Oh yeah. Do they
yeah,
still
that's
have this style though, the cartoony style?
yeah,
Oh, okay. I don't spend a
yeah.
lot
So
of
they have
time
those,
in
but
that
they
aisle.
recently did Muppet versions
Oh really?
on those cereal boxes. So I was thinking they could even like a Muppet version if they wanted to.
There you go. We've seen some Muppet mashups from Mashup Mel on some of the fan art Fridays that
Right.
have been pretty good. Those have been pretty funny.
Yeah.
I think there was like a Miss Piggy Ash Arden at one point too. Well, yeah, the serial covers, but that's the third or fourth one. There's still one more that you want to
Yeah.
snag.
I think it was, what was it, 2 issues ago? 7 maybe? High Street, where we saw Frankie actually eating these cereals. He was able to use the toys to make real monsters that helped him out.
Right. Yes.
And that was the same issue where he was using the mask and it's stuck on his face, which I think is it still on his face here?
It is still on his face because that's where we're picking up from. We had that happen, and Frankie went and got the mask, and then he went to X-ray, and X-ray was like,
Okay, yeah.
Can't get it off
It's
until
still
they
on his
came to
face,
Dr. Ego.
but we're not going to deal with it until towards the end.
Right, right. We have to learn about Dr. Ego first.
We have to learn about Dr. Ego, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that's why
And
that's where we're starting here. Is in the last issue, Mr. X-Ray brought Pranky to Dr. Ego to remove this man surgically.
surgically. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So that makes this your official spoiler pause for Hyde Street number 9. Can you give us another quick creator roll call?
Hyde Street was created by Jeff Johns and Yvonne Reese. And this particular issue, Jeff writes it, of course, but we have a guest artist,
He's intermittently done some different stuff.
Francis Portella, Brad Anderson with the color, and then, of course, Rob Lee with the lettering. All right, so and then we start back in time here.
Well, there's one just really quick, one kind of interesting detail. I don't know if you noticed it, but on the page that lists the creators, there's this little bubble.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that.
Dr. Samuel Gopanian.
Who's that?
I'm don't know. And so when it says Ghost Machine fans, it says there's an asterisk, and I don't see an asterisk next to anything else on this page that could then be referring to that. So I'm assuming it's just a miscellaneous note. And it says special thanks to Dr. Samuel Gopanian. So my assumption is that he was he's a doctor that Jeff talked to or a plastic surgeon to give frame of reference for this.
You know, what we should do is, this would be a good time to pause for a Google search.
For Dr. Samuel Gopanian. Yeah, I bet he's in Los Angeles County.
He probably designed this evil doctor after a real life, a plastic surgeon in LA.
Probably. I imagine so. I'm going to err on the side that he helped Jeff create this wonderful work. Now, so the book kicks off in 1946, and it's in this like tropical mansion-y looking home, right?
Yeah,
kind of Beverly Hillsy looking.
Yeah, I mean, it starts out with our normal stuff written about Hyde Street, but I don't think it's on Hyde Street.
No. We get our usual interlude, though. Yeah,
even though it has all that that Hyde Street stuff.
But right away, there's lots of shadow, and the first panel that we see inside that home, we see pictures on the wall. All the faces are slashed, and it's so poetic. Like I feel like when Jeff writes this character, he comes up with a lot of good one-liners. Like the last time he said he was chasing symmetry, and the first line in this is, before Dr. Ego ever cut into flesh, he cut into silence. And it's like, man.
So Samuel Gopanian is an award-winning plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills, California.
He's award-winning, so who knows? But
I'm sure. I wonder if he's seen this. I wonder if he would appreciate this at all.
Oh, I imagine that Jeff probably has a good relationship with him to credit him in like that kind of way.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's aware of it. But so we're actually seeing this interlude in the home with the creepiness. There's a boy, that's Dr. Ego, but we're finding out about his dad, who was a wartime surgeon. And then I guess like even in war, then he would keep like operating on people. So like the crazy stuff started then.
Yeah, he wanted them kind of perfect, right? Or just keep going.
Keep going and going. Yeah. But what's interesting is he's talking about the father, but he's the one coming to open a door to observe what the father is doing.
So he has a boy. He meets one of the patients. She says, "You're not supposed to be in here." "Oh, are you going to tell my dad?" She's like, "No, not really going to do that. I just can't. I just want to tell you about my dream."
Right. And I just think that when they have the transition panel where it's the boy's profile, and he says, what unraveled in young Eugene Ego that night wasn't fear. it was awakening. That's like kind of sets the tone of like, oh, it's like that. It's not like his dad turned him into this. He also had the crazy.
Yeah, and he dreamt about her, right? He was
I
standing in
mean,
front
it
of the
kind of
screen,
says that.
and as soon as they said this, 10 stories tall, men were whistling, women were wept, and since she has that blonde hairstyle, I knew exactly where they're going with this because he said you married a man who read poetry and broke your heart, then then you were with a baseball player. We all know. We knew this was Marilyn, and then because Norma Jean was her birth name, father gave her the name. Now, is this true or not? I don't know, but I mean, true in this story that through surgery, his father created Marilyn Monroe.
He's saying that he had a dream about it's really weird, right? Because
Yeah, it's weird because
it's in the
he's telling her what
reverse.
he's telling her what she's going to become.
Right. And the premise is she's not Marilyn Monroe yet. It's like
Right.
and then the prescription bottle also indicates Norma Jean Baker.
Yeah. Him as a boy gave her the name, and it was his
Yeah.
mother's name. So his mother's name was Marilyn.
And so did he really dream that? That's super
Yeah,
super
like
weird.
this is real as far as Norma Jean Baker is Marilyn Monroe's real name. That's true in our world. That's real history. But I don't know if there was any surgery. I don't know if she had surgery or not.
Well,
She just changed her name, just like Madonna changed her name. Like when you go to show business, you sometimes change your name.
so on the next page though, where we do see that like that Marilyn with the fan coming up or skirting deal, and they say on August 5th, 1962, the world mourned the death of a legend, but behind the curtain, another story played out.
Yeah, because we were in 40. That was 46. What, 15 years or something before this?
16 years later, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's Hyde Street's, well, Jeff's story on how Norma Jean was born as a famous actress, and then she dies in 1962, overdosed.
Well, but it what it indicates
Oh,
that's what it says actually that she disappears
responsibility.
again.
The world mourned her death, but she was never seen again.
Like, yeah, so essentially for whatever reason back in 1946 he made her into Marilyn Monroe and gave her plastic surgery by making her beautiful. And then when she wanted to disappear from the world, he staged her death.
So she may not have really died. She may show up on High Street for all we know.
Right. Yeah.
We all know where Ego ended up.
So yeah, we can go back and look. But yeah, so like that's an interesting wrinkle because what it's saying is he created her in 1946 and then he also like got her out of the public eye by staging her death and giving her plastic surgery again
Right.
in 1962, 16
Yeah.
years later.
Yeah.
And
So nobody knows where she went. But
right,
then we all know where Ego ended up. So that sort of foreshadows the potential of her also going to High Street.
for sure. But then they fast forward to 1997. So 1946 to 1997. And he's running typical Beverly Hills 90s plastic surgery. You know, I don't know. I feel like I could hear the synth music or something playing in
Yeah.
the convertibles. Yeah. And he's getting, it's kind of like oh yeah, this is where we learn about his two cohorts. I liked this a lot. Were you expecting to hear about their origins?
No, I did. No, we see them, and I didn't expect that to be the two nurses.
I didn't either, and I liked it because
Well,
I
because
thought
I liked the first appearance of the nurses. I thought it was funny that we saw them in the last issue.
I loved the first appearance. And one of the questions that we had on the show about that issue was if we would learn more about them or if they were just kind of like extensions of his evil lair, like part of his
Yeah.
powers, because he would need like people to check you in to do his evil stuff. And
Right.
it's cool how we learned that Miss D, she was like a beauty queen, so she kept, getting more surgery and more surgery. Even like he's got a line in there where he says, "I can correct what those other doctors botched," and it's like, oh, so he even
Yeah.
kind of sells them on that concept, and that's an opportunity for us to see that he steals body parts, or I guess he pays grave diggers to steal body parts for him, so it just adds a layer onto that. And then also, like, so that's a quick couple of pages, so we know about her. And then there's also Miss Doe, who like got overdone with like
Yeah.
way more liposuction.
She's like,
And
suck it all out. Not a drop left behind.
well, it's horrible. Horrible. Yeah, 44 visits is what he says. Oh my goodness. And I like how they explain like how horrible the two of them are, but I had been wondering like, well, why would they end up on Hyde Street but not really on Hyde Street? And I really thought it was cool how they explained it. Like so many
Yeah.
others, Miss D and Miss Doe were drawn to Hyde Street for their wrongdoings in 98 and 99, where they crossed paths once more with Dr. Ego and were swiftly reabsorbed into his employ. So we don't know
Yeah.
more of that.
Yeah. I don't know if all this stuff needs to be explained, but like, he's still the one that goes up on the scoreboard, and I think that they're just kind of, even though they are real, they're like an extension of his operation. I don't think they need to get their own souls, to be able to leave. I don't even know if they want to leave. I mean, but there you do see he has a contract with the scorekeeper.
He does. And that's interesting you bring that up, because the question that I had is, he's talking to the scorekeeper, and the short version is the scorekeeper's like, is how it works. You got to get 10,000 souls. Here's how you can do it. And he's like, but the things I do here. And then he's like, you don't have to worry about malpractice. There's no such thing.
Oh, but he says
Uh,
he needs assistance. I guess that's those two nurses.
yeah, yeah, which is, I love how he's like, he's still very matter of fact. Like, okay, well, I'm going to
Yeah.
need people. I'm going to need like workers, like obviously, but, um,
Yeah.
it made me think like when he says, but the things I do here, it's like, would he really want to leave? Like, wouldn't he kind of want to just do this to people
Yeah.
forever?
So not all of the. I mean, we know Frankie doesn't want to leave.
For now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
for the longest time, he may want to leave to see at some point to find his mother or something.
Right.
But
Right. That's why I said that.
she's probably dead.
Or maybe find out more information about it now that he knows he had that vision, because we didn't see any more of that vision this time. But for somebody like Dr. Ego, this seems very much like
Yeah,
a
and like, where does he like?
good arrangement
How does he collect souls?
to kind of the way that people are drawn to the Devour Miss Goodbody's store.
Right.
People are
Yeah.
drawn to his practice in a similar manner when they're obsessed with vanity.
Yeah.
And so he does sign the contract and he gets to work. And then there's obviously those are all people that he's damning and doing different things to. But I thought it was kind of interesting how like they
Yeah.
had
They
this
want to
brief moment where he says
put.
he actually helps people. I think this gives us some insight. So do you remember how he was a little funny? He was like the guy that wanted the pineapple lollipop, and
Yeah.
he made some jokes. So I think this is pretty significant, because he's talking about all the vain people that he does bad stuff to, insecure, deluded, shallow, narcissistic. And then he gets to this shot of outside of his shop, and it says, and yet there have been cases born of accidents. And it talks about a firefighter, a woman who is injured, and a boy who is injured, and all accidents, nobody that did anything wrong. And it says, those rare cases, Dr. Ego worked pro bono, meaning despite
Yeah,
whatever led them to Hyde Street,
meaning he
he
didn't
said
deliver them to the High Street in this case.
he did it. He helped them. He
Yeah.
helped them. And then what's interesting is we remember, this reminds us, even though I don't think X-Ray was really just talking out loud, that X-Ray is the narrator, because then we're back in the room with X-Ray and Pranky, and Ego's acting offended that X-Ray would imply he would help anybody, essentially. Somehow
Yeah, I mean,
that's
because what we've seen mostly from High Street is it's preying on people that have sinned or whatever,
right, right.
usually. But maybe that's just that each High Street denizen, I guess, could be different. Where some of them rationalize what they're doing by killing bad people, basically, and
Right.
maybe it doesn't really matter. You can deliver any, but usually when they end up on High Street, right? Because it says here, meaning despite whatever led them to High Street. Usually they end up on High Street because they've done something wrong.
And this brings it full circle, though, because we were talking about how it kicked off from Frankie stealing X-Ray's glasses.
Yeah.
Or no, Frankie stole the thing that turned him into the wolf mask.
The wolf mask.
Yeah.
He didn't know. He didn't ask anything about it. He didn't know it gets stuck on your face once you put it on.
Right. And Dr. Ego was the one who was like, you got to put the glasses on him because that'll help us figure out how to get the mask off.
So Dr. Ego actually knew. He knew something about the properties of those glasses.
Oh yeah, he does. Oh yeah, he does. Because he even mentions that he knows it's painful for Frederick not to wear them. And this is, I mean, it's pretty significant because he says,
yeah, he can't even, he has to cover his eyes. Once those glasses are off, he can't even, look at people or anything. So they are a cursed item that, that he can't, at this point, he cannot do anything without.
well, he's like covering his eyes. He says he needs his glasses, and Ego says, "Oh, I know how painful it is to see without them, Frederick. You're losing sight of what makes you human. I know your secret. You're not the voice of reason on Hyde Street." So it makes you wonder, like, without his glasses, does he go back to being a horrible person who doesn't care about seeing his daughter, or something like that? Like that would be. But then, like with them, he knows what he's doing wrong, but then it fades. Really horrible circumstances. But Dr. Ego gets pulled away because somebody shows up who wants a bunch of stuff done that they don't really need. And that gets him really excited. But we're still not sure what's going to happen to Frankie at this point. They're just still in the room together.
Two magic items kind of turn them both off, I think, type of thing.
Oh, because of the glasses and the mask?
Yeah, I think when you put them together, I think that's why the mask then is able to be removed.
I think you're right, but I also, as a reminder, Ghost Machine fans, as a result of those glasses, Pranky did see some sort of vision of his mother in what looked like a camp. And yes, we do know chronologically that she's probably not alive at this point, but we didn't see the second portion. It seemed like there was going to be another portion of that. So I think that from a storytelling standpoint, we've got to remain in this room with those glasses on until we see the second half of that vision. You know what I mean? But they wrap it up with something that reminds us too, which is Sisterhood went to the Matinee Monsters Castle because the butcher's card came up.
So the butcher seems to be like really bad.
He's somebody that everybody is afraid of and keeps
and we
in
think
prison.
that Mr. Oddman, who is the Matinee Monster, we think locked him up.
Yeah, in his castle. And then the tarot cards fall and one floats underneath the Matinee Monster or the butcher's door. And we actually see him in the flesh for the first time. We've only seen him talk before that. And he says, the boy time to serve him to my cause. This is very weird phrasing.
And then they give us a preview telling us that next time we're going to get more of the sad story of Sisterhood. And that's going to be in issue number 10 on sale according to here, on sale in October. And then, every issue from Ghost Machine, I think every single issue has one of these information sheets, and this one we get Dr. Ego's information.
We do. I just like how he points out in the frightening fact that he has an orderly named Oodles who will haul regretful patients back to the operating table, because I do believe we actually have seen that guy dragging somebody. Yeah, in an earlier issue when Dr. Ego was talked about before he appeared, there was an orderly dragging somebody back who was like, no, I don't need it anymore. Really, I don't need it. Or like something like that. And he was like, nope, you got to get back in there. Or something like that. It was pretty funny. Well, as usual, we do have a listener mail, and it's about a different Ghost Machine universe. So if you're ready, I'll run this one down and we can wrap up the episode with a cool question. So this listener mail comes from Andrew, who's written us once before, I believe. And he says, hi, Ghost Machine fans. I hope the both of you are doing well. I'm writing because I wanted to hear your thoughts on the first Ghost. When you guys last had Brian Hitch on the show, he discussed how Linus Nash would be the main character of this upcoming title. I was curious to know your thoughts on what abilities Linus will have in his own story. I was thinking that he could use magical artifacts within the White House since we know that his mom will become president and she could potentially have access to all manner of magical items stored away by the founding fathers. Keep up the great work. Thanks for the email, Andrew. And just as a reminder, if you'd like to send us an email like Andrew did, we would love to hear from you at ghostmachinefans@gmail.com. So now we've had the first Ghost prelude. We saw an interaction between Linus and his mom in, we think, the Oval Office. What are your thoughts about this, Jason?
We haven't gotten a lot of clues to what First Ghost is going to be about. We've been told that the main character is a kid, Linus. We know he's the son of the newly elected president, I guess, Sarah Nash. Whether there's magical artifacts, I mean, we know it takes place in the same, obviously, because it happened it was introduced in Redcoat, so we know it happens in the same universe as the Unnamed. We don't know if any of those characters will show up, but any of them can. So yeah, there can surely be magical items. Whether the founding fathers stored them at the White House, who knows? But first of all, I just want to know what or who or what is First Ghost? What's the ghost? I thought the ghost would be the main character, but it's going to revolve around the kid. Is what I've been told.
And yeah, and you were told that by but Brian said that, and I think Gene Ha essentially said that because when he drew a sketch
Gene
of
told me that. Yeah. He showed me the first sketch of Linus, who is like a pattern designed after a neighbor of his. We don't know. Once we see some more, we have a bio on Sarah Nash, but that's about it.
We just know that she's a very dynamic woman, and I believe, if I recall from her bio, that she spent some time in space, which made me wonder if maybe she was pregnant in space or something like that. And the one thing, Andrew, that I would point out is in the prelude in Redcoat 14, where they're talking about the picture of Simon Pure on the wall between Sarah Nash, mom, and Linus Nash, son. They're chatting, and then an advisor comes in and is like, hey, I need you for something. Sounds like something pretty significant, maybe the unknown war, not sure. But as she leaves, she's like, don't worry, we'll have dinner later. And Linus goes, well, that's what you always say. So to me, that was a preview of knowing that that character is going to be represented somehow by being alone or being estranged from mom. And I'm wondering if that will lead to either he's the only one who can see the ghost, or maybe the ghost becomes his friend in the White House because he's this neglected kid because his mom is super busy because she's the president of the United States or what. But on the back of the A cover of Redcoat 14, with all the first ghost, presumably several characters that we don't recognize that Brian Hitch did, there's this like glowing blue being, and the glowing blue is the same glowing blue that we have for the magic of the founding fathers. And whenever we see what we don't know to be or not to be technology, whenever the time traveling people do stuff, like when the cobbler and the northerner do stuff, that same blue is used. So presumably,
yeah,
this blue ghost guy is something of that energy.
yeah. I mean, what I can maybe assume from all of this, from the pieces that we have so far, is that the boy is going to meet the ghost. The boy is going to like find out about some kind of conspiracy that he needs to tackle, and he'll use the ghost as the powers or whatever to. What do you think? Some kind of conspiracy that he can't just go to his mother and be like, somebody's plotting something.
Because we've heard that it's very much its own story, but obviously it's in the world of the unnamed. Even the first time, like when we talked to Brian Hitch about this, he had said that when they talked about the premise for First Ghost, Brian said to Brad, Simon probably would have been there. So that means that they kind of got worked in for the sake of this narrative, which is great. The whole thing was enjoyable, but it makes me wonder how much of what Brad Meltzer has in store for us does connect with the unnamed, and how much is just the cool story that Brad's gonna have.
Yeah, I mean, Simon could show up and he'll be like, aren't you the person that I saw on the wall?
Right? Yeah.
I mean,
that would be cool.
It could work full circle like that, or that could have just been how they connected the whole two issue to the end of the issue,
But Linus does say, or maybe he was a British redcoat who grew a conscience, and then she's like, no, or this or that, and then Linus is like, no, I like my version better.
But actually, what would be kind of cool is if whatever the big issue here is that threatens the country, whatever it is, that has to do with.
Oh yeah, the unknown war and everything. It's all connected, man. It's all connected.
Yeah. It would be nice if it's whether it's Benny or George Washington or somebody.
Well, I think we're gonna find out, and it's always cool to get listener mail like that from people that are obviously really into the books and really into the continuity, just like we are, wondering what's going to happen next.
Yeah,
so thanks a lot. Well, Jason, it's been fantastic having you on the show once again. I really appreciate you deep diving ×2 into the scary stuff with me. So did you have a good time?
Oh yeah, this is my favorite. Oh, and speaking of Hyde Street, I haven't mentioned that we do with the Ghost Machine fans Facebook group. We do have a kind of a smaller group for just Hyde Street. So it's just called Hyde Street on Facebook, and it's on Facebook. And so join the group, and as it gets a little bigger, we can do some cool things in there.
What a great idea. You could go in there and you could theorize about what the real deal is with Sophie and Violet. You could go in there and wonder what's going to happen with Pranky and his mom. Man. So, yeah, make sure to check out the Hyde Street Facebook group, along with the Ghost Machine Comics Facebook fan group. They're awesome friends of ours, too. And if you want to check out all of our other content, you can do that by going to www.ghostmachinefans.com. where you'll see all of our social media platforms, where you can find the link to the Discord, which is on our Instagram. It's also on the Reddit, Ghost Machine Comics Reddit. It's run by a friend of the show, Flashy Transition 737. Shout out to him. And we would love to have you join all of the conversations. So come check out all the above. And thanks so much for joining us tonight on the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast.
Podcast.